She ain't derivative still. There she is. There she is. Well, saddle up. Lock and load.
As Bertrand Russell once said, the only thing that will redeem mankind is cooperation.
Change is the essential process of all existence.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to Indefinite, hello, welcome to Indefinite Lunch and Infinite Combinations number 118. I had to remember the number real quick because I didn't put it in my notes. We're here today to explore the great storytelling in For All Mankind, and we're going to go into as much detail as we can about what makes these episodes so enthralling. Well, sometimes anyway. There's a lot of drama too. Today we're talking about season 2, episodes 3 and 4, called Rules of Engagement and Pathfinder. Rules of Engagement was another mostly drama episode with some fairly interesting things happening on the moon regarding wanting to take back their moon base, and maybe put weapons on the moon to guard their mining operation, but also to find out how they lost the site to begin with. It seemed like the Russians took over without having to crack any codes or anything. So then there's a big reveal. That's a big reveal of the episode. And so we'll talk about that. Really, that's the only part of the episode where we get to see the astronauts on the moon base the entire episode. And then you'd think we'd finally get back to space with the title like Pathfinder. Well, at least Tracy does. But we don't do too much, really. We tumble around in fighter jets, and I don't know. I want more space in my alternate history space show. Oh well, let's talk about these episodes. Today, to talk about these episodes with me is Phil. How are you doing today? Phil, also known as Fleet Admiral Levi on YouTube.
Yep. I'm doing well. Hey, everybody. I'm looking forward to discussing these next 2 episodes. I'm wondering, judging by your sort of attitude towards them, I'm very, very fascinated by your thoughts and what you thought of them. Rest assured, space still, plays a major role in this season, but yeah, I think there's a little bit of a build-up, as I'd mentioned before. There's kind of a formula to how these seasons work, but yeah, I think the build-up is what kind of makes the season finales so impactful.
It's definitely a slow burn. They both the episodes still do have really interesting world building and character building elements, but in the whole, not a lot in terms of having a complete episodic story like the first episode did. It's 100% serialized again, like the second episode. The first episode was episodic and serialized at the same time because it was written by Ronald D. who has practice in that. And these 2 were a continuation of a series of things happening, and I have to put it together into hopefully a story later. So these are just like building blocks for later, and so I'm just supposed to collect all these building blocks and wait for them to materialize into something interesting. And of course, I am sure space things happen. I see slides of things happening later, so I'm definitely interested in it.
I'm looking forward to your thoughts.
Definitely. Besides, you and Lance from the Outcast Creative tell me things get better. Like, keep getting better. Not that they're bad.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people online that, at least from what I've seen on Reddit and a few other spots, that claim that this season is the best season. Although I think Lance and I do agree that the series gets progressively better as it goes. So if you like the first season, then you'll like season 2. If you like season 2, you'll like 3, and so on and so forth. So I'm just fascinated to see how your perspective sort of evolves over the series, and yeah, especially what happens at the end of this season, because it's kind of a something of a. I mean, it was a shock to me, but I don't know if it was expected, but no, I
Hmm.
can't wait to get there.
There's a problem with trying to research too much of the show. Sometimes I run into spoilers.
Yeah,
I
well,
haven't gotten the end of this season spoiled yet, but
yeah,
there are a couple of
well,
things I saw that were cool. But first of all, here we got a real Ghostbusters cartoon reference. It's just a flash pan reference. It doesn't really play into anything, but it's
it's
cool.
an interesting reference because I believe that doesn't come around until like much later in the '80s, if I'm not mistaken. And this is '83, and I don't even think the main Ghostbusters has come out yet. So that's kind of surprising.
Yeah, maybe but yeah, you're right. Real Ghostbusters comes out 1986 and Ghostbusters comes out 1984. So this is early. This is definitely early, but of course it's an alternate universe, so they get to have their Ghostbusters when they want.
Mhm. I believe the idea was that Ghostbusters was primarily created as sort of a reaction to like the Reagan era in a way, because I mean I've heard people discuss that Ghostbusters is kind of a sort of a conservative leaning film in that it's about a bunch of guys who try to start a business, and then they're met with a lot of like burdensome regulations, which I think is very interesting.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah, the government getting in the way.
yeah,
Hello, I want to make sure to say hello to the chat. I want to say hi to Kimberly Ann Hart. Pink Ranger's here. Hello, Kimberly. And hello to Snortopoopus.
Mhm.
Huber, great to see you today. Also, hey, Daniel's here. That's awesome. He made it. Daniel, it's early for you. That's great. Debbie Mazor is popular. Oh, I don't know. She's not in this episode, is she? I don't know
I don't
if she
recall.
is. It's time for another stream of anti-derivative Jill. Yes, yes, it is. Oh, DJ Play Nice is going to sleep. Okay. Sleep well, DJ Play Nice. See you later. Yes. Yes, great to see you too, Kimberly. And great to see you too, Penny, putting the little man down for a nap. Sleep well to Penny's grandson. And hello to Gavin Blackburn. How are you doing today? So let's see what's going on in this episode. Rules of Engagement. It is the third episode of the second season. It first aired on March 5th, 2021. Oh, I didn't get the. Normally, when I get these, they say what year it is or what day it is in the For All Mankind universe timeline, and I missed that part. So I'm just gonna take just a second to see because I like to know where we are in the timeline.
Yeah.
So then we did the Bleeding Edge. After the Bleeding Edge comes Rules of Engagement. And it takes no, it doesn't say. It doesn't I guess it just doesn't that's why I didn't get it because it doesn't say. Doesn't say in the next one either. I guess it's all in the same timeline. So I guess I'll find the oh, I guess they don't do it for season 2. They did it for season 1. I thought it was so cool. Oh, here it is. The time frame is 1983. For every little thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess wonder I guess they just don't mention the time frame for these other episodes, which is unfortunate. Hey, what's my star date? I'm trying to get my star date here and I can't. All right.
The thing I checked doesn't have it either.
All right. That's fine. That's fine. It's vaguely the 80s.
Well, it's vaguely the same year, 1983. It's just we're a bit sometime in the year.
I was like, did I accidentally download cartoons? I didn't mean to do that. Okay, breaking news. I do subscribe to Apple, the service, but I do things to make it easier to get slides.
Hmm.
All right, so they're having breaking news here. Oh, the Panama. Okay, so what's going on in Panama? I was trying to figure out what was going on with that. There was some kind of hostage situation, right?
I mean, I was getting the impression that it was something of a like an earlier version of what we would call because it was an invasion of Panama in like the late or the early 90s, and I was kind of thinking it was something like that, but I'm not entirely sure because I think the implication in the For All Mankind universe is that since the Russians beat America to the moon, there's more of a sweep of communist sympathy across the Latin Americas and Central America and South America, and a lot of that leads to some like kind of proxy conflicts along this different Cold War, and I think this is supposed to be one of them.
Okay, fair enough. Gavin Blackburn says Panama crisis when the U.S. deposed Noriega.
Manuel Noriega.
Noriega. Okay.
Yeah.
And all right. Yeah, okay, that makes sense because at one point during the episode they say they tried to do economic sanctions against Russia one time but it didn't really pan out because it strengthened the Latin communities that were supporting Russia because then their trade, because that's a problem with with those kinds of economic that kind of economic control. If you don't have everybody on your side, economics will find a way.
Yeah.
All right, so Gorilla's Random Thoughts is here. He says, Kapla, I'm here for a bit, but looking to borrow a car, and people are playing 1,000,001 questions. Well, yeah, if you're gonna have their car, it makes sense they wanna know a few things. But if it's a work car though, you think there'd be a specific set of paperwork. Or you just sign it and you get a car. I don't know what the situation is, Gorilla. But there is a hostage situation there. So U.S. soldiers. Yeah. Oh, anti-American rights. Okay, definitely. And I do continue to like the pretend broadcasts of the the history, current news events.
Mm-hmm.
And they do, we don't spend too much time on the moon, but we do get to see it. Oh, 1,000,001 questions on the accident. I forgot about that. You had an accident, Gorilla. Oh, you're okay, right? I think you're okay because you're typing to me.
Is it like a rental that you're trying to get?
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense because if he's trying to reconcile things with insurance and everything. I hope everything's okay. Well, borrow is different from renting. So I wasn't sure about that, the technicalities on that. But the main thing we get to see on the moon is the Russians have taken over our mining operations because of things that we find out later in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And they packed up all our gear and just dumped it on the side of the crater and said, this is ours now. You're done here. It's our turn now. And yeah, so that's unfortunate because there's a lot of important lithium on this site is why. And I guess they're fighting over resources already.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that's actually the thing they want to avoid. They don't want to fight. They don't want to fight. They want to take. Basically, the idea is that NASA wants to take back their mining site without a confrontation, and they don't understand how the Russians got to do this because the codes are encrypted every single month. It should be impossible to do this, and so there must be something else going on. Yeah, there is something else going on.
Yeah.
And so, but the problem is, even if they get to take it back, how do they hold it? And so this is where they start thinking we might need guns in space.
Well, a specific kind of gun in space, but yeah, we'll get there too.
Well, they make fun and say maybe we can use golf clubs, but they have lots of those already on there. But definitely, they do mention that the guns will need to be specifically tailored, engineered for use on the moon, which makes sense because our guns, maybe they're too fast or they go too far. I don't know. Like,
well, I think a lot of it's that the guns we have on Earth. Obviously, it depends heavily on the on oxygen. So without oxygen, you don't have a way to ignite the gunpowder that will send the projectile.
Oh, right.
So,
okay, because that little issue where there's no atmosphere. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then you can't have a gun that's a certain color that doesn't absorb the light rays. So you need to probably paint them a certain way so that you're not holding something that like gets like extremely hot or extremely cold in certain environments. So I think that's an interesting detail that they went about when they decided to approach that way of kind of how we would actually fight on the moon.
Yeah, how do you shoot a gun in a vacuum, essentially?
Yeah.
And make sure your bullet doesn't reach escape velocity.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically what this scene is all excited about. Gavin Blackburn says, I hope my acre of the moon has gold, diamonds, and oil.
No, it would be surprising if there was any oil there.
Right? I mean, without the dinosaurs, what's going to make the oil?
Well, from what I'm told by the biologists, is that most oil is just plants. But
well, organic life. And yeah, makes sense. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss everybody. Oh yeah, there we go. Real Wade Nation Gaming. Hey, hello, Real Wade. What's up? And no worse than before. No, my sister. What? Did you get into the accident? Okay, I'm confused. Did you get into the accident, Gorilla, or did your sister get into the accident? Because I'm confused.
I was trying to borrow a car from my sister.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Borrowing the car from your sister. Okay. Well, yeah. Sisters are gonna ask questions. Gavin says, "Remember when we thought that Reagan was probably the worst president the U.S. could have?" Yeah, no, I don't remember that because I was a baby.
I think when I was growing up, people thought he was actually. At least the impression I got was that he was actually pretty good because the whole ending the Cold War sort of thing. But having been to his like presidential library out in Simi Valley, it's kind of crazy the amount of things that he did that were still good and bad that we're still kind of dealing with.
Yeah. Gavin says, "Oh yeah, he wants gold." And Gavin also says NASA created the space pen. Now they need to create the space gun. Yes. Okay, that makes more sense. you're no worse and asking your sister to borrow the car. Gotcha. Well, I'm glad you're doing okay. I didn't know I knew you had an accident, but I didn't know if you were injured or anything. So there we go. That's the setup. But we don't get any continuation of this for the entire rest of the 2 episodes. It's just a big old seed planted here for later.
Yeah, because I think they're only speculating on what they could actually do. Because I mean, this general guy is from the Air Force, and then Ed is from the Navy, but they both kind of agree that sending up a team of Marines that are already trained in space activity, but every Marine, there's an old saying, every Marine a rifleman, so they're already trained how to use weapons, or at least portable weapons. So we have this idea, this little nugget.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that makes sense. Now some Marines need to become astronauts. Fun times. Can't wait for that. I was excited for that, and then nothing. Not yet, anyway.
Well, it shall be. It's definitely a nugget that grows into, an entire, because I think you could say like a gold nugget. So I guess you'd say a gold boulder at a certain point. So,
Gold, you say? Let's see then.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
There you go.
Rules of engagement. Oh, hey, we got through the teaser. Written by Stephanie Shannon and directed by Andrew Stanton.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That's
Because I
great.
believe he did. I think he was mostly off of like Pixar stuff up until recently.
Oh, well, that's great. He's expanding.
Yeah.
And okay. Tracy kind of lives in a mansion now.
Mm-hmm. Thanks to her new hubby.
Yeah, right. She's got people. I don't know if I like just random people snooping in on me in the morning and stuff. But she asks I guess the maid to call and say that she's gonna be late because she's hungover because she's drinking. That's kind of the theme for both of these episodes is that Tracy is the drunk. She's the drunk now. It's almost like Tracy and Gordo have switched personalities.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know, because she's got her Michelob. Probably not exactly a Star Trek 4 reference, but I thought about it.
Probably more so than not.
Well, I would have bought it more if they would have had a pizza box.
Yeah, possibly.
But
I mean, it is the 80s, so maybe they wanted to be a little more subtle.
Yeah, makes sense. Poor Gordo. He doesn't fit into his uniform anymore. He breaks his zipper. And then I remember in Spanish, Gordo means fat. And so I kind of how did I forget that? Was that on purpose?
Yeah, that's
He's not really that big or anything. It's just that he just has a belly now. It's just like
just got a little
bod kind of
belly
thing.
now. Yeah. Still got to get a little bit more into shape.
Yeah. He needs a montage. I was expecting that.
A classic 1980s getting back in shape montage.
Yeah, that's what I was I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why I want that so bad. But look at these computers. These computers are great.
Yeah.
I
think those ones are actually more advanced than what they actually had in that time period.
Well, I was really charmed by these computers. And it makes sense it's a little bit ahead. So let's see. I found out these are Zenith data systems. Maybe they're super sport. And you're right, they're more late 80s. So For All Mankind kind of pushes it a little bit later. Like some of the technology that we get later, they get a little bit earlier than we do.
hmm
That's fine. Look at these. These things are amazing.
Mm.
These are the Supers. The Super Sport 286 was one of the top selling laptops of the late 80s. So, and it falters though in the 90s. But right now, this is the top of the line with the Intel 8286 microprocessor clocked in at 12 megahertz, or an 8088 processor at 4.7 megahertz. Oh, I'm sure these have 12. I want to say hello to Lemon Pie. Gordo punching sides of beef and running upstairs. Yes, that's what it was. I want a Rocky montage for Gordo.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that. Just, have a montage and lose like 30 pounds. If real life worked like a movie.
Yeah. Don't we all?
Mm-hmm. So, great computer. She even takes it home. You got a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He's got to deal with the new technology. Outpost is a restaurant now.
Mm-hmm.
And so Karen's talking to Kelly about different places to go and all the schools that she wants her to go to. But Kelly has already made her decision. She wants to apply to Annapolis and go to the Navy.
Yeah.
And that's her decision. She's pretty much dead set on it.
Mm-hmm. It's all because of that conversation with Danny, and I think that's what kind of inspires her to, follow in her father's footsteps on that one.
Well, yes, and Karen kind of calls her out on it. Are you sure you don't want to just go because Danny looks cute in that uniform?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is some of the fully serialized stuff. The fully serialized elements of the kids in the show are sort of the least interesting parts to me. I'm sure these characters will get good later, but yeah. So I'm just waiting for that, and it kind of does get good at the end of this episode, but it's just kind of more.
Well, I mean, these are sort of
just family stuff.
These are like nuggets, set out for, for what happens later. Yeah, like I said, I won't reveal anything, at least not intentionally. So,
well, these episodes are just a series of things happening, I guess. just a bunch of events. But there you go. Kelly wants to go to the Navy. Karen is not happy with this. She's obviously both parents eventually show their concern that they're afraid of losing another kid after having lost Shane. And that's a fair point.
Yeah. I mean, I think Karen takes it a lot more. I mean, she obviously has her, opinion on it, but I think she warms up to it much faster than Ed does. And well, we see how Ed.
Well, actually, they both have pretty similar reactions, except his is a lot faster and more violent. But they both agree with each other at different points in time. So actually, Karen takes the entire episode to figure out how to come around to it. She's dead set against it.
I mean, I guess my thing was that she never, went into a fit, and tried to, basically threatened to like kick her out. And
he had more of a visceral emotional reaction, a response that just was all emotion, and he felt, I think he just felt, well, we'll get to it.
Yeah,
but I think he kind of felt surrounded, like, oh, they're both in on this together and they're conspiring to send my daughter off to go die. And so he got very defensive. And I think it's a really well done scene, which makes sense it is, because we can't help but talk about it now, even though we haven't gotten to it. It's way more interesting than waiting for it to happen. When you finally get to it, it's good.
Yeah. Well,
But
we'll get there.
Gavin, I feel like this boring spaceships and laser battles, please. But at least Kelly's working on not being boring anymore. She's gonna go to school to be interesting. And Margot. But I mean, I think Gordo struggling with the newer technology as he heads back to space is more interesting, because we've had complete stories with him. So I kind of care more about the little character nuggets that he's going through, with culminating in how he had to have that breakdown into space and how that affects how he is now. That when you already have well-developed stories, I don't mind the arc of the serialized elements. I realize Kelly is new, but so I'm gonna keep track of when I start to care about her. But right now she's just to me, she's basically what kept Karen and Ed together after losing their son. But Margot, she makes it to the trailer park. And who's she visiting? He's visiting a lady who needs some toilet paper. And that's, of course, Aleda. She's in the bath. Like, who invites somebody into their house, a stranger into their house? Okay, I'm desperate for toilet paper. I'm going to invite you into my house because I need you to get this for me. You might be an axe murderer, but at least I'll be able to wipe first before I'm murdered.
I mean, there's priorities, Priorities are, that kind of thing is probably number one when you're in a compromised position like that.
Yeah. So I was really hopeful with that. I thought it was going to be a really nice scene. But oh no. It was not. We
kind of find her at a point where she's a little bit more. Well, I think she's already gone through all the schooling and all the other stuff, but because she's already had jobs with like aerospace companies, but she's not exactly worked for NASA just yet.
No, I know. She did a lot all by herself. That's really great. She went to school and she got to be the engineer that she always wanted to be, and she did it all by herself, and that's wonderful and everything. But when she says she has behavioral issues, it's not like, oh, it's not just that I'm not a team player. It's she's still a pyromaniac.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she said she's going to jobs setting fires and trash cans still, just like when she was a little kid. And so it's just like an interesting character trait. I know she's an engineer who can't get a job, I guess, because she sets fires and trash cans. I don't know how many times this has happened. They only mention one time. She loves fire, engineering, and space. There isn't. We haven't. This is another serialized element. Leda is, because she hasn't had much of a story yet, except learning a lot about her character. And even Aleda, who had more time than Kelly, is pretty undeveloped narratively, but she's funnier and more interesting. Except now she kind of grew up into kind of a bitch, which is weird because the only reason Margot didn't take Aleda in was because Margot thought that Aleda had a guardian because she was living with somebody. She was living with a big family. There was lots of people there, and so Margot thought she had somewhere to be. She didn't know that those people were all rounded up and deported. And so why is Aleda blaming Margot for rejecting her when it's like when it didn't seem to me like we don't get any evidence that Aleda ever calls Margot up later after being rejected and said, "Hey, now I'm kind of homeless. How about now?"
Yeah.
That scene never happens. And so I kind of don't like, without knowing that, I don't like this animosity. It seems forced. And so why would Aleda be such a brat to assume that Margot should feel guilty about that by pretending that Margot's coming to treat Aleda like a charity case? All Aleda had to do was tell Margot that she was alone, and I'm pretty sure she would have helped.
I mean, for me, I guess it's just, human beings tend to be irrational, and I think at
True.
that point she has a lot of. I mean, she didn't grow up with her mom, so in a way, she sees Margot as that surrogate mother, and so by being rejected in that moment, she's being rejected by this person she sees as a mother figure, and in that way, she blames her for, not being accepting of her, as somebody that she feels is important in her life, and so now she's kind of getting mad at the world, sort of, for not willing to accept her for how she, who she is, and I think it adds an interesting element to sort of her attitudes, at least at this point. And then I do want to point out though that this actress who plays Aleda at this point pretty much stays in that character for the remainder of the series, at least as far as I'm aware. So yeah, after this, I think she basically becomes, more of the prominent role as opposed to being more of like a recurring sort of like serialized character as we'd seen before. So
Okay, so I don't know.
Whoever said the human race was logical?
there you go.
And okay, so I do think it's cool that Aleda was able to get into engineering, even though she was by herself. But without
Mhm.
Margot or a good parent figure to guide her, it seems she never matured socially. The
Yeah.
theme for the kids in the show is basically how stressful can they be,
Mm.
and Aleda definitely is. She even goes. There's a lot of people in these episodes, these two episodes, that throw the race card out there. She's like, she thinks Margot's taking pity on her because she's Mexican and because, because she's just giving her a job at NASA for pity. And so projecting racism onto others is a sign that you definitely have some deep-seated issues that need to be addressed, especially with the therapist.
I mean, some sort of a insecurity, but yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, labeling yourself as a victim is not a healthy mentality.
Yeah.
But she finally gets to the real reason, which was probably guilt, which Margot probably does have. But it was, I mean, come on, it was the latest fault for not going back to her after her guardians were rounded up. I bet Margot would have adopted her then, but from what I can only guess at, there's this gaping plot hole about what happened with that. I can only guess that Aleda didn't tell Margot that she was alone, so how could Margot go help her without knowing what's going on? And but she still does feel guilty about it anyway, which it does make sense. She could have said yes,
Mhm.
even if she didn't know about her being alone. But I'm on I'm on Margot's side. She says, "Be a brat, be stubborn," because she's offering her a job with NASA
Mhm.
to help her
Yeah.
stay in the not just to help her stay in the country. That's part of it, but because she does believe in her, because she does know she's great, brilliant kid. Even if she has some social issues, she's willing to help her with those too. I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Leda's giving into a little bit of biting the hand that feeds her sort of thing right now.
Exactly. And so at least that gives her a lot of room to grow from.
Yeah.
Is she? But do you really want a pyromaniac working at NASA?
Well, I mean, I think you need, if you're going to put somebody like that in any role, it should definitely be something where you aim them in the right direction so that they can use those skills to benefit everybody. And it would make sense to put them in like something regarding propulsion or something. So,
And I definitely can see how having the kind of passion for that could lead to something positive. Could be taking a negative, turning it into a positive is definitely what I see coming from this. It makes sense.
mhm.
But anyway, that's this scene. She's an engineer that sets fire to stuff. Now she's gonna work for the government.
Hmm.
Although at this scene she hasn't exactly accepted it. She's still seeming like she might reject it.
Mhm.
I didn't set. Well, she didn't. She says she didn't set fire to McDonnell Douglas, but she definitely did. This is a lie. If it's a trash can, the trash can is part of the office.
Mhm.
And doesn't she remember when she did that when she was a kid and it started setting a entire fire to the entire room? And her dad was like, "Why do you always have to set fires?"
Yeah.
So we know this isn't the second time she's done it. She's done it several times before. So I guess if you haven't actually been arrested for your fire setting, then it's something you can work on.
Yeah, if you haven't been
Using.
arrested for arson and probably in prison for it, you should be good.
Well, yeah, she did. She would have been deported just for that.
Hmm.
I always thought that she was born in America. You know how a lot of people are, come from Mexico and then have babies. But I guess she was. I guess she was just always Mexican to begin with.
Yeah, because I mean, the scene that they show
Mhm.
toward the beginning of the pilot is that well, they crossed right after the
Oh,
Soviets
that's right.
landed,
Okay, I forgot about that.
and
Yes,
yeah, her
yes.
mom wasn't able to make. Her mom didn't make the journey. She passed away on the way to America. So that's kind of been her sort of uh, character baggage, if you will. So
Okay, thanks for the reminder. I forgot about that part. America's upset. Me too. Be a brat. Be stubborn. I might clip that.
mm,
And so back at NASA, meanwhile, Ed and what's his name?
General Bradford.
General Bradford. Okay. And so they're talking about the Russians. Bradford thinks there's been that they've been spying all along somehow. They've after Ed and Ellen went out into orbit to go one of them to go back home. Um, in the meantime, Mikhail, the Russian guy, must have
Yeah,
planted something.
yeah. It's like they think for the last 9 years, there's been some sort of a spy uh, sensor device or like a listening device
But I think
implanted at
that makes
Jamestown.
sense because
Yeah,
they did leave Jamestown alone for a while, which was
yeah,
definitely an open door.
yeah. It's an undisclosed amount of time, but I mean, it would probably be plenty of time for him to have gone in, implanted it, and then skedaddled. But you would think there would be some kind of a monitoring thing anyway, on the moon base, but I guess not.
I don't know, like maybe he just pretended he was tied up and he actually got it loose, and when Ed nodded off at some point, he did it and then pretended he was still tied up. You know, when they do that sometimes. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I have no idea how he did it either.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's implied heavily toward the end of the last season where like they're leaving in like a rover, and he kind of like turns and looks at the moon base at Jamestown, and I think at that point is what they're trying to say. He, walked back in there, left it, and then came out. At least that's the heavy implication I get from that little movement.
That's also a possibility. I did feel that too, but you're right. There's a little more complication with that. Wouldn't that have been detected? Wouldn't you have a record of, hey, this guy was here also by himself?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that like, oh, the airlock opened at this time or something, and I don't know, maybe that's not recorded in any system or something. I'm not. Maybe that has to be recorded manually. I don't know. At least at this time.
Oh, Max Redstone says, I like space. I didn't watch the show yet. I just like space. 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 Oh no, alien. Hey, there are ants in Jamestown. And
Yeah.
I guess
And
if they have babies, they're moon. Are they aliens? No, I don't know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've suggested that because they're in such low gravity, these ants could possibly grow bigger than the ones we have on Earth. So that could be sort of terrifying in itself. But I'm kind of curious to see how that evolution goes as the show goes along. Because
Yeah, I want to see that
yeah,
too.
yeah, I'm really fascinated by that.
And I hope Gordo discovers them.
Yeah.
Max Redstone says, "Oh, good. Strode Poopus is here. Please eat the aliens." And Strode Poopus ties on a bib. And hey, we got a visit from Miss Martin Muses. Aren't we lucky? Hello, Miss Martin. So yes, they do find the listening device that the Russian planted in Mikhail. And yeah, and I don't know, it's been there for 9 years, but has it actually been operating for that long? I guess so. If they recently if they figured out a code and very recently took over the mining operation. So I guess that answers my question. It's just been up there in the lights this whole time, even though Jamestown's been expanded and expanded and expanded. No one ever looked up there.
I must have thought it wasn't anything in particular.
Yeah, right. You don't need to check the lights. They're working fine. Don't worry about those pictures.
Yeah, I think the implication was that it was somehow tied into like the electric system, so that's how it was maintaining its power for all this time. But
oh, okay. Okay, that does make some kind of sense. But yeah, so he integrated it into electronics. Okay, I could believe that. Max Redstone says the graphics on Dreamfall sure have improved. Oh, hey, I should play that soon. I don't know when. I have to consult my game playing buddy. Kent Brockman says, I, for one, welcome our new insect overlords. Sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's the biggest reveal in this episode. The Russians were able to take the mining operation with the very important lithium because they've been listening all along. So who knows what else they've heard?
Yeah.
And they're just, this one's just a drama scene. Karen congratulates Tracy on her wedding or marriage. I don't know. They had much of a wedding, but there was Tracy got married to Sam. Whoever Sam is. Have we even seen Sam yet?
No, but you will.
Okay. I don't even know if the Sam exists. I just know she's in a big ass house now.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be. I think the implication he's like some kind of if I remember correctly, he's like some kind of a big. He's a businessman from Texas, but he has like some other little flourishes about him too.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's definitely not around. He's not around to the point that Tracy. Well, first Tracy gives Karen some advice. Kelly's gonna be in the Navy whether you like it or not. She's made her choice, so either you want to support her or she's gonna, she's just gonna go off and do what she wants anyway without you.
Yeah.
So it's your choice if you want to support your daughter in this endeavor. And that's good advice, but it's too bad she wasn't, thinking about her own welfare because she crashes. She drunks. So, like I said
Mhm.
before, it's a bit of a character swap where Tracy is now the major alcoholic instead of Gordo, and
Mhm.
she crashes into a field staring at her bill. She got distracted while drunk driving, looking at a billboard of her advertisement where she's wearing a watch in her spacesuit.
Mhm.
I don't know if I got a clip of it. I'm sure I did. See it, let me know. Nope, that's fine. Max says, what does Max say? He says the Ruskies took our lithium. They did.
Mhm.
Wait, is he here? Who else is here? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody.
Mhm.
Fun fact, says Max Redstone, the number one source on Earth for plate nickel is Norilsk, Russia. It is 200 miles north of the Arctic Circle and one of the most polluted places on the planet. Oh, polluted. Wow. Is that from the mining or some?
Makes sense. I mean, they don't have the kind of restrictions and regulations that we have in America, so I believe it.
Wow. Oh, thank you, Max. And so Gordo picks up Tracy because Sam is nowhere. He's not able to take care of his wife, so Gordo helps. And Gordo didn't really have to. He knows that she has like all these servants and all this stuff, and he could have just been like, "Well, call one of your whatevers," but I guess she doesn't want to go home because she doesn't like that she has all those people. She doesn't like she feels like a teenager going back home, being scolded by the people who are working in the house, who are judging her for showing up drunk. But in this case, they would be right to judge her because she crashed her car
Yeah.
and tried to drink and drive.
Mhm.
And so anyway, she yeah, so he Gordo. I used to like Tracy and not like Gordo, but it's kind of flipping. And there was something interesting that Tracy says about Sam, that he's a good man, but he also has a temper. So we haven't met Sam, but there could be a problem with it. It sounds like there might be a problem with him.
Yeah, it's setting up some expectations of him, and
Yeah. Like I don't know
maybe
if if he's gonna be violent or what.
yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, I think I
right.
agree with you at this point with Gordo.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And she's wasted, so she goes to sleep instantly. That's the scene basically. Oh. Oh, and Max Redstone's membership renewed too. That's fun. The boys are home, but it's the middle of the night, so of course we don't see them. She just goes sleep. She's sleeping. So of course Gordo's gonna sleep on the couch. And she collects her clothes. He collects her clothes for her. It's nice of her. And Aleda, so Davy basically did Aleda a favor calling Margot and helping her get a job, but she sees it as a betrayal of her trust, and so she dumps Davy, even though she says she's going to take the job after Davy gives her a pep talk. Like Davy's all supportive of her, really does love her, and maybe going behind her back wasn't the greatest thing, but he did it out of love. What he did was romantic, and she's totally ungrateful.
Yep.
I don't know what she wanted to happen. And she packs his stuff up and makes her leave. Like I don't know, how did Margot humiliate her, and how does caring about someone and helping them get a job mean you break up with them? She's a highly intelligent engineer but is also kind of a dunce socially, and this is coming from me who I'm fairly socially awkward, but she's just completely clueless. So I guess for Davy, it's the best for Davy. Right?
Yeah.
Because he can't see all those red flags. He loves her anyway. So she did him a favor, I guess.
Yeah, ultimately. So she's standing on principle, and that principle is that
she wants to be independent, and that means rejecting everyone ever. Oh, and Ed is having flashbacks to being on the moon and how he might have been fooled by Mickey Owl at some point. And he's playing with his little model kit. That's fun. Oh, and you see a box with Shane on it. Yeah, of course. Oh, and Gordo wants Tracy's keys. He no longer wants Tracy to have the run of his house. And if she wants to see the kids, she can call.
And make an appointment.
She hasn't. Yeah, make an appointment. Well, just she's been ignoring his calls in general, and he doesn't appreciate being treated that way, and just letting her come over whenever she wants, but not actually showing him any actual respect, which makes sense because it isn't her house anymore. She's married now.
Yeah.
And she's acting like she's not. She's still keeping the name Stevens.
Yeah, that's her professional name, but she, I guess, is legally, takes Sam's surname.
Oh, does she really?
Because I think that's what this implication is, and he kind of thinks it's a little, because obviously she's known as that.
Yeah, I don't remember her saying that she legally changed her name. Just because you get married, you don't have to change your name. You actually have to literally go to the government offices to change your name, and that's a whole thing. I'm not even. I changed my name everywhere except for Wells Fargo, and I just every time I go, they're just like, "Where's your marriage certificate?" And I keep forgetting it, and so it's just like it's been 13 years now. I'm just not going to change it at Wells Fargo. I think it's kind of fun until somebody makes me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for my fiance when she's got to do all that, and I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's a little extra work. And really, it's really rude that she doesn't she doesn't pick up the phone when he calls or call him back. He was trying to call her to tell her that he's going to the moon, and
Mhm.
she just laughs at him until she realizes that means that she's gonna have to work with him on Jamestown 991, which, oh
Mhm.
no, that means they're gonna be on the moon at the same time, and she starts to have a hissy fit.
Mhm.
She just she says she doesn't wanna go through, um I mean, the kid okay, so the kids being a brats is one thing. I'm
Mhm.
totally fine with that, but Tracy now too. I was
Mhm.
fine with her divorcing Gordo and remarrying, but to throw a tantrum because they're going to have to work together on the moon is extremely unprofessional and childish.
Mhm.
And it's insensitive to Gordo who's trying to restart his career. Saying
Yeah.
I'm not doing the space couple bullshit again when they're not
Mhm.
even married anymore. So if you're
Mhm.
seeing that, it's really that all she cares about is how she looks on television. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
play the Astro wife, okay?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
she's showing she really doesn't care very much about Gordo, just how she looks as a celebrity.
It's all about optics for her.
Mhm. Like I don't know if
Although,
she's gonna improve.
yeah, because he definitely does. He would like to have her back in some capacity at this point, but he realizes that she has her wife now, and she kind of wants to be back in it, but that's kind of making Gordo feel a little bit, I think, even a little confused in a way. But
Yeah, I do like that he makes the move to take the keys. That's really healthy for him. That's good. That's a
mm,
good step for him to
yeah,
let her go. And yep, lots of character world building stuff. Not much of a story. It's more like a preamble to something greater, like you say, all the nuggets. And I guess I'm just not that patient.
mm,
But I did have fun watching it. I don't mind the serialized elements that'll build to something greater down the line. But give me a little story within the episode to tide me over. For me,
yeah.
it would be more fun that way.
For me, with the kind of school of writing that I'm a part of, it's kind of like the story will either go in two paths. It'll either be something that's plot driven, and so there's like a lot of events that
Mhm,
kind of characterize whatever story it is, and then you have character
mhm.
based story where it's pretty much just based on how these characters react to certain moments, and then all of that is
That
the
one's
one
this.
story. And this, Ronald D. Moore has said, in the past, like even with Battlestar Galactica, that first and foremost, Battlestar Galactica was designed as like a drama first, and then a
Yes.
space show second, and then this is kind of the same kind of idea.
Yeah, it is.
A
You're
little
right.
bit different in how it's executed, but yeah, because obviously the difference between Battlestar Galactica and For All Mankind is that obviously um, no one in For All Mankind is running away from Cylons or have to worry about like the needs of the fleet.
You
So,
say that,
well,
but Gordo sees some lights on the VCR that kind of look like
oh yeah, yeah, that's always interesting to me, whatever that was.
Yeah, right. He was remembering seeing the lights on the moon that meant the Russians were up to something.
Mm,
And so it was kind of a flashback to that, but the lights did go back and forth in a very Cylon kind of way. But
yeah,
you're right. You're right.
yeah. I don't think
Battlestar
the show
Galactica was
is not without its nods to Battlestar though.
yeah, their Battlestar Galactica definitely was a heavy drama politics series. And I
Mhm.
think it didn't bother me then because I wasn't deeply analyzing it. I was just enjoying it.
Well, I think you get your more than fair share of little space battles in between, unlike For All Mankind, where it's a little bit somewhat suppressed in its space action. But
Well, that makes sense. They have less to work with. Hey, Eugene Bird is here. Hello, Eugene. And Max Redstone says of Tracy, she's a space floozy. Yeah. Eugene Bird says, "Hi, Max Redstone. I'd never get on anything called the Vomit Comet. Tracy must be upset about something more than him going to space." Yes. Yes, that's it. I think that's a fair assumption. Oh, Max Redstone says, yes, the pollution regarding the nickel in Russia, the nickel mines, the pollution from the mining plate nickel is essentially for batteries, which with the electric vehicle craze has become even more essential. In Russia, environmental laws are non-essential.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, important to know. Thank you. And so Tracy goes to Ed's office to complain, and so she's just, oh, yes, man. She's saying, have making her be on the moon with Gordo is BS, and that's some kind of conspiracy or something.
Mm-hmm.
But and that Ed just gave Gordo the assignment out of pity, but that's not. He did see his friend was suffering, but but I don't know. I don't know. She's questioning his decision making.
Yeah. But not only that, she's begging him to kick Gordo from the flight while also he's not accepting that as an option, but he's fully accepting, if she wants to get kicked off her own flight, then he's more than willing to make that call.
Yeah, and she says, "Boys will be boys, huh? Y'all just stick together no matter what, don't you?" So this is more melodrama. Tracy is extending her childishness here. I'm surprised Ed doesn't just fire her. I don't know if Deke would have put up with this babyish behavior.
No, I
I
don't
don't
think so.
know. I don't know.
Because
Like
Deke was always more like I would even say he's more of a hard ass than even Ed is. But
yeah, Ed is being really patient with Tracy. She's like, okay. He's like, okay, you wanna quit? Go ahead then. And she's like, no.
but also, I mean, I guess,
of course she wants to be on the flight.
yeah, I guess because where she's at in her career and what she means to the space program, I guess he kind of has to walk a fine line. But yeah, then again, he does know her a bit more than even Deke did. So, for her being the wife of his best friend, so there's that, and so I think that's what kind of builds in some of his patience for her and what she does. But yeah, even then, it's a little, she's acting a little, you know, definitely unprofessional, and I think he even mentions the fact that she might be, intoxicated at certain points, and that's kind of its own thing too. But
That's
she kind of
true.
scoffs it off.
Sometimes when you're coming off of a hangover, sometimes you're still drunk,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how much you've had. I don't know if Tracy or Gordo should be flying, even though Gordo doesn't drink as much anymore. Yeah, he's got psychological issues, and even though and now Tracy's is the drunk, and so I just don't know what they're how they're still there.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe they'll improve. That's what I'm hoping, I guess. But I don't know. If they mess up, it's not going to look good for Ed because he put them in space.
Yeah. Well, Ed has his own
It'll come
little
back to him.
plans too.
Right. Right. He does. So Karen finally accepts that Kelly's going to go be in the Navy. And so now she's decided to support her. Oh, and of course, Kelly finds some of Shane's old toys, his Popeye, the Sailor Man toy, which of course is another Navy reference. And she wants to make a difference, and it's something similar. Ed had said that before too, and so Karen tells her, how dangerous this life is, how dangerous it is to be a pilot, and not just a pilot, but potentially.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know if she's gonna. Obviously, the show would lead to everybody becoming astronauts, so maybe she's gonna be one too.
Mhm.
And of course, the topic goes back to Shane. Of course, the issue with that, the tragedy of having to deal with that loss.
Yeah.
But there you go. There's more of that, and so they're she accepts what Kelly wants to do with her life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Snorapoopa says there are lots of stories of astronauts seeing UFOs, but most have been shown to be various space debris or things made up by conspiracy buffs.
I mean, the one thing that I can say, because I do think everyone has like at least one thing that's sort of wooey, but yeah, UFOs tends to be my one wooey thing that I'm interested in. But I never try to couch it in conspiracy stuff because I mean, just because you see an object doesn't necessarily mean it's aliens or future humans or whatever. But some of the stories I have heard about astronauts who have seen them, it does kind of beg the question if it is, something other than, like space debris or um, some rather random like optical effects that kind of occur when you're in space. No, it's fascinating to think about.
Well, in any case, there are mysteries that cannot be solved, and some people like to fill in the blanks with the UFOs.
Yeah, no, it can get kind of crazy on that front.
Yeah, but I've complained and been a skeptic myself, and to a friend who likes actually researching the UFO stuff. His name was Cardinal Sin. I complained about it to him before. And he said, "But it's fun, right? This is fun. This is fun to look into." And so he really enjoyed it. He really enjoyed
Yeah, I mean,
investigating.
yeah, I mean,
And
conspiracies.
from a scientific perspective too, he often did. He did it
Yeah,
a lot better than the History Channel.
yeah, I would take a lot of History Channel as the, I mean, for me, it's evolved into like comedy for me. Anything from there, the Ancient Aliens or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
watch it to
Ancient
laugh.
astronaut
I don't.
theorists.
Yeah, I watch it to laugh now. I don't watch it to take the theories seriously. So.
Right. But when I watched his show, I took him more seriously. The way he presented
Mm,
it was way better. But
mm,
Max Redstone says, "Let the drunks fly. It's inclusion." Okay, oh,
very
goodness,
true.
I gotta sneeze. Give me a second.
Oh,
I can think of no one better equipped to handle it, Miss Uhura.
Whoever said the human race was logical?
Oh, maybe McCoy can get rid of my allergies too.
well, I mean, imagine having that in a spacesuit. Terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Sneezing in a spacesuit, I think that would not be good.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it would turn to a engineering issue. Maybe there'd be some kind of suction.
Dope.
So Eugene Bird says, "So you're saying she's no Sally Ride?" No, but actually, we're gonna see her in the next episode.
Yeah.
Sally Ride is gonna
So
show
yeah,
up
yeah. Hold
for
on
like a minute.
to that one. Yeah.
Max Redstone says, "Jinx put Max in space. Jinx, bring Max back. Max." Hmm. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
Hmm.
The Snorapoopa Seaber.
Yeah, he's quoting the ancient astronaut theorist Giorgio Tsoukalos and his crazy hair. Makes him
Yeah,
look like
that
a
guy with
Kazon.
Kazon here, yes. Oh my god, he does look like a Kazon. You're right.
Yeah, that's
Wait, which came
yeah,
first? Did the Kazon come first, or did he come later, or was he inspired by the Kazon?
I mean, that's a good question. I
Or
would assume it would be the Kazon came first, and then uh, he came afterwards. But yeah, it's he became a meme. That's one of the things that's memorable about the show. So
yes. But anyway, this is the big, basically finale scene. Big drama, emotional melodrama scene
mhm,
because Ed is just as upset as Karen was at the beginning of the episode that Kelly wants to be in the Navy, and he is just as against it, but he expresses it with more anger and with a bit more. He's not really being violent, but his voice is. He's extremely
mhm,
angry. He's
mhm,
telling her, like you said earlier, that if you're gonna go enlist anyway, then you can just leave. And of course, he doesn't really mean that. He takes it back almost immediately. He
mhm,
really turns around really quickly. For as angry as he was able to
mhm,
calm down very rapid speed. But I guess it makes sense because as someone who is an astronaut who has the psychological wherewithal to be in space, it makes sense for them to be able to eventually be able to control their emotions, even if they get
mhm.
a little worked up.
Yeah, I think this kind of blow up is like the only time he blows up to like this level, at least as I've seen in the show. But I mean, I don't think it's unjustified in a sense because I mean that's like a really big like core memory for him losing Shane and then being on the moon and him being away from him for for not only for being in the Navy but also being on the moon. And I think justifiably it would scare any parent to have your own child be possibly killed in anything involves the military. I mean, it doesn't even have to be anything combat related. It could just be an accident because there's helicopter accidents, even uh, ship issues that occur all the time, and it's a giant risk. But you know, at a point, you do have to be that parent that's willing to let your kid um, make that just make that decision.
Yeah, and the actor for Ed, oh, what's his name? He does an incredible job in the scene also for portraying those character elements that you're mentioning in regards to not only not being able to be there for Shane
Mhm.
and Karen, but the fact that he just didn't even know it was happening. And then when he did find out, all he could do, like he said, was to scream into the night.
Mhm.
And and so this is definitely something you have to see to understand the emotional weight behind it.
Mhm.
And Kelly, I like when Kelly says, "Okay, we're not doing that anymore," because Ed gets really upset, and so Karen stands up for Kelly when he tells her to leave to start, and she starts shoving him, and um, I'm glad that Ed did not return the violence.
Mhm.
I was afraid of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of concerned how it would have how escalated it would have become, and yeah, he does kind of come down off of it pretty quickly, but still,
Mhm.
it's a big blow up.
It's a really, really well acted scene. Hey, it's
Hmm.
Kimberly. Kimberly's back. Oh, and and he feels guilty about it. He thinks because the last conversation he had with Shane was getting after him for his mischief at school,
Hmm.
and so he thinks that he contributed to it And this is something that's Karen's been thinking about too, and that you can't torture yourself with that kind of thing. That it was an accident,
Yeah.
and that's something that I'm surprised it took them this long to have this conversation. That's
Hmm.
it took Kelly wanting to go to the Navy to bring that out of them.
Yeah.
I always thought he was a Centauri. Oh, oh, the ancient alien guy.
Mm.
Oh, and they sing Anchors Away.
Hmm. Yeah, pretty much saying that she has his blessing to carry on that sort of the destiny
Or
that Shane had.
right, Shane wanted to be in the Navy also, and
Hmm.
and it's just a reminder that they're going to be worried for their daughter doing these kind of dangerous things, but that the world is dangerous. So, oh, what was the
Yep.
quote? I want to grab that. Um, hold on. There's no safe place on this earth. And that's when he mentions, but I wasn't here. I couldn't react to it.
Hmm.
But that is one of the toughest things about being a parent is that you're able to protect your kids for so long and keep them sheltered and stuff, and then eventually you've got to let them live, and living, it can be dangerous.
Yeah. You got to make sure that they're free to make the mistakes that they're going to make, and be there for the mistakes and the successes, because you know they're going to grow into people. And I think that's a lot of you know parents where they're afraid of that time when they're going to turn into fully grown adults and be on their own and independent. And I can see some people having difficulty with that. I mean, I think most parents would.
I'm gonna have difficulty just with my kids getting behind the wheel because
Hmm.
even if I trust my kids to drive well, I don't trust. It's the other people I'm worried about.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much a lot of people. It was my dad too.
Hmm. Oh dear. And so here is the Cylon. If you watch this in motion, I should have got a clip of it. If there was any clip I got, it's just the VCR, but it was
Yeah.
moving back and forth.
Hmm. Yeah, because I think that might be a slight reference to it, but I also think because there's like a rule I think at NASA where if you're
Mhm.
because the NASA logo itself is like a copyrighted thing, so you can't use it without like acknowledging it. And so I think some TV shows and movies get around it by creating their own version of the logo. And in this one, or in this, if you ever look at the NASA logo, the
Mhm.
worm logo that they have here,
Yeah.
the A's are a similar font as appear in the title for Battlestar Galactica, both the 78 and the 2003 version. And I think it's a nice little nod to it.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's good. I didn't realize that it wasn't exactly the same logo. That's
Yeah.
some good production information. Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Phil. I would not have got that. That's good detail. And you cut us, and we're going to F and bleed. Yeah, that's true. That's Shakespeare right there, Kimberly.
Yep.
And so that's rules of engagement. So we're moving on to the. Oh, before we move on, I have a list of all the songs that, if you're interested in what the soundtrack of this episode was, when Gordo suits up while after he tries to put on his suit and he breaks the zipper. The song that plays is Devo, the song Devo called "Whip It."
Mhm.
And then when Gordo is bringing Tracy home after she drunk drives and gets into a car wreck, the song that plays is Spandau Ballet. It's a song called "True." Then Tracy calls Gordon from her car after she looks at the billboard, and the song that plays there is a song by Thin Lizzy called "Downtown Sundown." And Then the other two don't have the description of the scenes, so I don't know when they were played. There was Guardian Angel by The Terrible Parade and Walking in Lonely by Steve Knox. And so we're moving on to the next episode of season 2, episode 4, called Pathfinder. It first aired on March 12th, 2021. It was written by David Weddle and Bradley Thompson and directed by Andrew Stanton.
Mhm.
And and I know I'm making a big point to point out all of the serialized elements, but I do get it. The show is mostly about these people and how they get into space, and that's nice. I do like it. I like that Ed puts himself on the Pathfinder.
Yeah.
It's just the waiting on Earth that I gotta do.
Well, I mean, Ed is sort of pulling a Deke in that situation where he's just assigning himself to the latest mission. And yeah.
Yes. But also for this episode, I finally noticed in the credits that I have to mention that Joe Manowski is a co-executive producer on For All Mankind, which I didn't notice before. So anytime I like to notice more Star Trek creators.
Mhm.
And that's why I like to say that Star Trek is being made today, but it's just not labeled that way. so the Orville has David A. Goodman, Brandon Braga, Andrew Boymanis, Doug Drexler. And For All Mankind, of course, is made by Ronald D. Moore. And so far on my Star Trek list, I have Narain Shankar, who was a Star Trek writer, Michael and Denise Okuda, who are art directors on many Star Trek shows, and now Joe Manowski, which is cool.
Mhm.
I hope I haven't missed anybody because I'm keeping a list. So let's see here. Oh, there was something I had. This is weird. The way that she makes these eggs, because she's making the eggs. How many of you put the bacon after? I like to cook the bacon first and then use the bacon grease to make the eggs, but she does it backwards. Does anybody do it her way?
I didn't think anything was too out of the ordinary.
Oh. I thought it was weird. But she cancels the cruise to the Bahamas. Why does she? I think they I don't know. They can't do both. I guess they can do both for some reason. And by both, I mean she's encouraging him. This is how he decides to put himself on the Pathfinder, is that she says, you know what, we're not going to the Bahamas. You need to get back to space. And this is your opportunity to be on the mission that you're most excited about. The one that you tell me that you know that you think is most interesting. And there we go. Oh man, where am I? Oh, I got these a little bit mixed up. Move this. Okay, so yeah, I do have my notes mixed up. These notes go somewhere else, so I have to skip through this. Wow. Hold on.
Sure.
Hold on just a second.
Mhm.
There we go. And oh, what's going on in the chat? Max Redstone says, okay, I must be off. I wanted to say hi and drop a like and say to Antiderivative Jill and beyond. Au revoir. Yeah. Hey. Bye, Max. I'm glad you hung out with me for a bit. Tracy. Kimberly says, Tracy, oh my god, what did I do? It's for a good reason. Yeah, so much for the Bahamas. No Bahamas for them. Nope. All right, let me fix this. I can't believe I put my notes out of order. I thought I fixed them. Karen says, I know, maybe next year for the mom. Yeah. Well, hopefully. Hopefully they do get it back around to it. Because Ed did make a big effort to be with his family for all those 9 years, and he did. She's telling him, you did a great job with Kelly. She's grown up. She's gonna go have her own dreams fulfilled. And you know what? You should fulfill yours too.
Yeah.
And so that's how Ed decides that he belongs on the Pathfinder mission.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, not just on it, he's going to command it.
Mm-hmm.
And there it is. Oh, there's the Pathfinder model. Nice little model. And then we get the intro.
I'd love to get my hands on one of those Pathfinder models.
Yeah, that'd be neat. Well, it's powered by nuclear powered, right?
Mm-hmm. Nuclear engine.
So Gordo is getting in his spacesuit, and everything's fine until he puts the helmet on, and he starts having some issues. His heart is beating faster, he's breathing heavier, and he's not having a good time. He basically doesn't want to continue the test because they're not finished fitting him with the suit. Because he's experiencing PTSD from all of the problems that he had in space the last time when he freaked out and saw ants everywhere and thought he had to get his spacesuit off on the moon where he would not be able to breathe.
Yeah.
And so I guess he's never really, even though he did all that therapy and everything that he did to try to heal himself, I guess he just didn't really completely get over those problems.
Yeah, it's a little bit of like claustrophobia on top of a panic attack.
Yes.
Those are the kind of the things that are manifesting from the PTSD he has.
Yeah, definitely. And so he struggles with that this entire episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like how Ed eventually deals with it. That's going to be good.
Yeah.
And so Ed, Danielle, and Gordo all drink together. They're essentially celebrating him. So he wants to celebrate himself. He's like, I'm doing Pathfinder, so he lets them know that news. But also he celebrates them. And they're going back. They're going to space too. They're going back. They're all going back to space.
Mm-hmm.
After all those years of I think Danielle went back before though, and I don't think she was as grounded as the other two.
Yeah.
And hey, Dave C is here. Hello, Dave C. Great to see you. How are you? And yeah, Gordo's expressing, at least he's talking to his friends about it. That he felt trapped in the spacesuit. But yeah, he's at least not keeping it to himself. And so since Ed is heading the Pathfinder mission, he has to find somebody to take the job of the chief astronaut officer. And he chooses Molly Cobb, who's smoking a joint in the bathtub with her door unlocked. So he decides not to partake in the botanicals and gets a beer instead.
Yeah.
And at first she refuses. She doesn't want to be, she doesn't want to be in an executive role. She wants to fly. But then he convinces her by saying, "Hey, you can do what I did. Use your position to get whatever flight you want." And that works.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right, Kimberly. She says, "Must be nice to be king," because she mentions how Ed put himself on the best most advanced shuttle that's coming up. Yeah, she is relaxing. She's an incredible actress. I've really come to appreciate her in the series.
Yeah, she's really good. But I mean, she really is the best choice for, Molly's the best choice for the chief, astronaut job. Because I mean, she's going through, um, this issue where she will lose her vision, but she still has all the
Oh my god.
experience and all the stuff that's going to be happening. So, because I mean, I think you're already starting to see a little bit like her vision is starting to kind of
No, I didn't
play with her.
notice that.
Yeah, it happens when she comes back,
Oh my
and
god.
it's going to be it gets even more interesting. But yeah, she at this point, she has the experience. She's been there forever, so she really is the best pick to take over the job from him.
Definitely. And I knew that there was going to be some kind of consequence from all the radiation that she encountered, but I didn't know it was going to be that. I
I
didn't.
mean,
Okay, so it was foreshadowing then when they went to the golf
yeah,
course and she said, "I have 20/20 vision and I'm gonna have it till the day I die, just like my grandparents."
yeah, she's been little subtle things have been happening. And it's setting up for that, but she's also has a higher risk of cancer, as I mentioned earlier.
Right,
But
right. I was
um,
expecting cancer,
yeah,
not blindness. I didn't
I think
catch the hint.
it's a very specific type, but that they don't reveal it quite yet.
Mhm. Yeah, but she just wants to fly, and so she's gonna get to. Or hopefully she wants to. Maybe not if she goes blind. I don't know what's happening. But it is a good career move. It's not a poopus keeper says I used to have 2015 vision, but I can't see the end of my snoot now. Wow, that's a really great eyesight. Her hands above the suds. Care to join me? No, she's married. And so is he.
Hmm.
But that's funny. And okay, so so we had our fun. Now the episode's gonna bring us down with a lot of really depressing race relation stuff. Because oh, Danielle Danielle visits Clayton's sister, Ray.
Hmm.
Her sister's named Ray. And she just wants to give her sister some items from Clayton's childhood, some report cards, and some birthday cards, just some sentimental items that she thinks Ray might appreciate having.
Hmm.
And um, well, she's yeah, and it's kind of an uncomfortable scene. Ray reveals that she knows the truth about how Danny sacrificed her appearance. She sacrificed her reputation to help Gordo but I just don't Ray just doesn't understand that Danielle did it because she saw the aftermath of what happened to her husband after getting PTSD in Vietnam, and she didn't want Gordo to suffer a similar fate by losing his entire livelihood.
Yeah,
So she saw how her husband was suffering, and she didn't want to see Gordon to suffer too because she cares about humanity. She cares about other people. And Ray doesn't see it that way. She thinks, oh well, you sacrificed your reputation for a white man or whatever, and for because not Ray says this, but Danny doesn't see it that way. She's a Star Trek fan. She doesn't see people like that. And oh god, and so Ray doesn't understand the full crux of it. However, there's more to it than that she's upset about than even that. Oh, while I may not agree that Gordo should be flying at all, I think what Danielle did was really honorable and basically what camaraderie is about. So I respect her decision, but Clayton's sister just says this terrible thing. She says, well, okay, I said it already, but here are the actual words. He's never kept secrets from me, told me how you really broke your arm, all to protect some white man's career. Of course, Danielle having a true appreciation for humanity and, what she learned from Martin Luther King Jr. She says, that man was my friend, a part of my crew. The color of his skin had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But this is I guess this is kind of some of the anger that was going on, I guess, around this time with people, even though this is the 80s. Civil rights was in the 60s, so Ray was probably a kid when segregation when schools were being integrated and segregation was a thing. So she probably had to live through all of that stuff. So she does have a valid reason for having some of that residual anger for that kind of stuff. Like this kind of thing, if it happened today, it would be you can't understand it. But here you can understand it because she actually did have to live through a lot of that ugly stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think her position is justified, but also I think she's sort of the catalyst for inspiring Danielle to, because I guess in some ways she does sort of see herself since that incident as being kind of pushed to the side a bit. And I think she wants to, push herself into a role that's a little bit more meaty, if you will. And I think
That's right.
Yeah, this whole conversation is what kind of sets her off on that stream of thought.
For sure, definitely. And so that's how this show. I do like when there's parallels, when there's connections, and there's things that seem, really depressing at first, but it turns into something good. So, but basically, Ray is grieving, and she basically blames Danny for pretty much everything, and she doesn't really like space travel either. So it's pretty cool that Danny is inspired by somebody who really doesn't really like NASA at all. She thinks the money would have been better spent for she said the NASA money would be better spent to help her brother deal with his psychological issues. But this is why this series is called For All Mankind. Maybe space travel doesn't seem to have immediate benefits at first, but it has tremendous benefits that go beyond, the measly amount that's spent on it. NASA doesn't really get all that big of a budget.
I mean, I think Neil deGrasse Tyson, put it best, where he was saying that, the kind of money we spend on NASA, I mean, the entire money we've spent on NASA in the last 60 years is like not even a tenth of what we spend yearly on our defense budget. And it's kind of insane that the public sort of thinks that we spend basically the amount of money we spend on the defense budget toward NASA, and that nothing could be further from the truth. And if we had, that much invested in our space program, I mean, every year we throw $1 trillion at it, that would be the stuff we could do would be insane. We would have everything and more that For All Mankind shows us.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's just really sad what's happened to our space program lately in terms
Mm-hmm.
of canceling shuttles without having a replacement. And that's the reason we can't go
Mm-hmm.
save our astronauts right now. Right now, we
Yep.
have a real life drama where people who are only supposed to be there for a few days have been up there for months, and
Yeah,
we have no
and
way of getting them.
there's a rumor that they might be stuck up there till next year. That's even worse.
No, I know, I know. What's the name of the Boeing spacecraft?
I think it's Starliner is the name of that one.
Shoreline, right? Ugh. Yeah, that
I mean,
doesn't look good for Boeing. It really doesn't.
I
I
mean,
hope
it's
they're
just
able to come
another.
back. Mhm.
Yeah, it's another in a long line of like issues with Boeing. I mean, it's sad on their end.
Right, and it's too bad that that the U.S. doesn't have a way to get them back,
Yeah,
except for maybe asking the Russians for help, which you mentioned one time,
yeah.
which
And I
I
don't
wish they
think.
would do.
I mean, I wish the Chinese or even the Indians had, because they're both countries that have emerging space programs. I mean, they have tech that is basically on par with our other allies, and asking for help. I mean, there's no shame in it, and
Hmm.
it doesn't hurt. But I don't know,
Yeah,
we're kind of backwards in
especially
some
that.
ways.
Exactly. I think it is backwards. We're making these people be away from their families from during Christmas and all
Hmm.
of this entire year just because we don't have just because of politics basically.
Yeah,
Mm, Anyway, but yes. Yes, and like you said, the it if we did spend more on NASA, I think it would be good. Or I know that the private industry is taking up the mantle for a lot of stuff, but still they don't have a way to get to them. And
hmm
but so far we've gotten lots of stuff from being in space. We've got the show itself talked about the electric vehicles and the solar panels, but there's other stuff that we haven't mentioned, like colloquial implants, other medical equipment that helps with lots of things like heart disease and diabetes and lots of other
hmm
stuff. I was starting to find some things. I could probably do a whole live stream about it.
yeah.
It might
I
be. It
think
could
too.
be. It could be a Friday show about all
Yeah.
that stuff. Maybe integrate a little Star Trek in there somehow.
I
So
mean, the amount of spin-off technologies that come from NASA, I mean, it more than pays for, the cost of us having to go up and, you know, invest as much as we have. But some of the things that we explore in this season, which is,
mhm.
the inclusion of the space shuttle, which was supposed to be used to be a workhorse to get us to a space station that
Yep.
we didn't build in the 80s until we didn't build that thing until 1998 in real life. But um, at this point in the show, we have 10 space shuttles with like 2 Air Force shuttles. And at this point, yeah, the NASA is at a peak that even it wasn't at in our timeline. And,
Right.
because now they have access to so much more than what we have, because we didn't even have a moon base or a couple of Skylabs like they have. And, you know,
Correct.
Reagan would be the perfect president to want, because he was really, 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 if there's nothing else about Reagan, he was very pro space and wanting to invest as much as we could into it. And I think it really plays well in this season.
Nice. Ah, it's too bad that didn't happen in our reality. Let's
Yeah.
see. But she's not just mad at she's more mad at Daniel even more than the allocations of funds from NASA.
Hmm.
She could hate. She seems to just hate military and patriotism too because she feels victimized by it, and
Hmm.
that Danielle encouraged Clayton to serve his nation.
Yeah.
So she's not too happy with her own country,
Yeah.
which I guess something. She mentioned there were some Vietnam veterans who celebrated the passing of MLK, which was obviously awful. Then those particular Vietnam veterans were extreme, bigots. But
Mhm.
that seems like a I don't know. I'm just guessing that that's possibly something that happened. I didn't really look up to see if that was like a big event that happened that was awful. But the thing is, this is the second time that this show has said, "Oh, look at what these people from Vietnam have done this terrible thing," and as if obviously not every there were there's going to be good and bad people in any organization, and this is she's just highlighting it. It wasn't even Clayton's platoon, like Danielle said.
Mhm.
She's just hyper
Yeah.
focused on the absolute worst of humanity. And
Yeah.
Danielle is focused on the best of humanity. So they
Mhm.
both have different um, outlooks on life.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah. So she just took what some assholes did and blamed it on everyone.
Mhm.
I think it's too late for Clayton's sister to help her at this point.
Yeah.
She is so outraged by everything. I don't think anything
Mhm.
will change her mind.
No.
But it does have an impact on Danielle. She does listen. She is paying attention to this, and this does something to her.
Yeah. Yeah. I think unlike Clayton's sister, she uses a negative to turn it into a positive, and as we've mentioned, and
Yes.
it would seem that the sister just turned a negative and kept it negative.
Yeah, exactly. She's not gonna grow, but at least Danny will.
Yeah. Mhm.
I just wanted to fly. Oh yeah, that's Molly. Oh, this is a interesting scene too. I used to have 2015 vision. I got that one.
Mhm.
And NASA says there are no plans to send SpaceX Dragon to rescue two astronauts stranded on the ISS. Take that for what it's worth.
Mhm.
Man, okay. Why not? I think those two astronauts may sue NASA. Well, they really they might, because that would embarrass Boeing
Yeah.
if SpaceX was used. What? If that's a Oh, that is the stupidest. Is that the reason they won't send? Is that the reason why they won't get
So now
Elon to
it's
help?
corporate politics now.
No, oh, that's even worse than the
I mean,
diplomatic politics.
I don't think Blue Origin has any spacecraft capable of getting to the space station, or they would use them instead.
I just don't get it. Gavin Blackburn says, like Reva, when he lost his chorus, he turned a negative into a positive. Oh yeah. Oh, thank you, Gavin, for bringing it back to Star Trek.
Mhm.
And of course, that's Reva. That's the episode with the guy who needs three people to be his voice, because he can't communicate himself, and so he communicates with these other beings that are telepathically linked to him and represent him.
Yeah.
And that's pretty fun. It's a good episode.
Mhm.
Gosh, good to remember Star Trek. Thank you, Gavin.
Mhm.
And Ellen visits with Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine being one of the real life characters. So he's a
Mhm.
actual person who worked for NASA, or worked for the government.
Mhm. Yeah, I
And
think the implication at this point was that he was just some sort of government bureaucrat that just kind of was there to facilitate all the stuff at NASA and supervise, but he actually really does have a passion for it, and he wants NASA to achieve great things, and get us to Mars and everywhere else.
yeah, that's right. I do like his story, that how he was like how he fell in love with space when he was on the submarine
Hmm.
and seeing the stars. So that's cool that he does actually appreciate space and he's not just there as a politician. It just happens
Hmm.
to be his job.
Yeah.
Mhm. And so he likes being able to be the one to make what everyone's doing, make it happen, and help fund it.
Yeah. And she says something interesting here where, or they both talk about this idea that like within 10 years, if they keep doing what they're doing, NASA will be completely self-funded. And they want to
Yes.
do everything they can to make sure Congress doesn't try to raid all the money that they're going to get. And I think that's fascinating.
Mm. That is a good point. Right. Because they're already this early on in the 80s, they're already working with private companies. So that's something that we're only just doing now
Hmm.
in terms of, actually being partners with private space organizations. And so that's something that is going to happen sooner on this show, which is really cool. That's really neat for Ronald D. Moore to go that route. I can't wait to see what that does.
Yeah.
Thomas Paine says, here's a quote from him. I know everyone at JSC thinks I'm just Reagan's lackey. Just
Mhm.
just like they thought I was Nixon's lackey a decade ago, but I don't mind it. People have hated politicians as long as there have been politicians. But the truth is, we're the ones that make this all possible. I want to get to
Mhm.
Mars as much as you do. Believe me.
That's great.
Yeah, good stuff. And Ellen, of course, is surprised by this frank conversation, and he tells her how genuine she is, and that people really gravitate to that kind of thing. So yeah, he is playing politics. I don't know if he's manipulating her towards a certain path. I
Well, I
think he
think
is.
he's, and I use the term, as basic as I can, he's grooming her for possibly being
Yes.
his successor or even pursuing a role in
Mm.
politics later on. And, I think that's great.
Yeah, and in some cases that can be a good thing.
Hmm.
Um, Kimberly says, Snorty, it's fun being in space, like Mission Space from Disney World.
I'd love to go to
Disney
that one
World.
day.
Disney World. That sounds like Epcot, right?
I think Mission Space is, I think it's there. I've never been, but I read a lot of stories about it. So,
Hmm. Eugene Bird says, you can keep space. I like the view from here. But Snortpoopa says, I don't know enough about the capabilities of SpaceX, but that's been speculated. Oh, no.
well, I do think
Yeah.
SpaceX actually has vehicles that can get to the space station, but
So why don't they?
well, I mean, up until
Really? Is
recently, I
it
thought
really?
they were on an FAA hold. Up until, I mean,
Okay.
a couple weeks ago, they
There.
started relaunching stuff again. So I don't know.
And the SpaceX stuff, you got to make sure it's safe too. There's all the safety concerns. This is a very specific rescue mission that they have to make sure they have the right vehicle that's going to bring our astronauts safely home.
Yeah, I mean, I think the
And
Dragon
I don't know the
capsule
detail
carries like
about that.
4 people. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's only 2 people up in orbit. So
That
I
should be
mean, I
good
don't
enough.
understand. I mean, I don't understand why you can't just launch one uncrewed and then just dock it to the station and then have them, move into the Dragon capsule and then detach and then re-enter the atmosphere. I mean, that would be
Well,
what I
if
would do.
it's yeah, right. Or even if you're nervous about sending it unmanned, send one person and
Yeah,
come back.
yeah, why not?
That person gets to be a hero. That's fun for
Hmm.
everyone.
Yeah,
They should do this. Gavin Blackburn says, like Riva when he lost his chorus. Oh yeah, sorry, we read that one.
that's right.
Mm, it yeah. Well, Well, I hope they do that instead of just leaving them there for for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like another 5 months. That's not good.
No.
So Larry has a friend over for dinner. I don't know what they're doing with Larry, but something's gonna happen there.
Yeah, I think they're building his character up slightly to because I think this season it's a little more, I don't know what you want to call it, a little more, even more so than serialized. It's more like background stuff, but
Yes,
what he's doing does affect what happens later.
I'm sure it does. Right now they're just arguing about movies, so I'm just waiting.
Hmm.
I'm just waiting with that.
Yeah, because it seems like he's kind of a serial dater or something,
Hmm.
and yeah, that idea does come
Yeah,
back to
he
haunt them
is he
both.
is really free. He is really free with his love.
Hmm.
And Ellen is just too busy to date or whatever.
Yeah.
She's busy covering up her sexuality still.
Yeah, but I
And
think she still has her heart in Pam.
definitely, and we see that in this scene. She opens her mail, and the only piece of mail we're meant to care about is the package from Pam, which is her poetry book. And
Mhm.
Ellen, the inscription says, well, here it says, "Hey, I saw you on the news. Welcome back to Terra Firma. Thought you might enjoy this." And the inscription asks her if she can tell which poem is for her, and so she reads that. So it looks like a lot of good production work went into this little notebook. Like they actually wrote real poetry here. I read a bit of
Mhm.
it, and it looks like it's actual. Like it's not just like Latin or something. It's
Mhm.
somebody actually wrote
The
these
lorem ipsum
poems.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking for that,
Hmm. Yeah.
but no, they wrote something. Even if it's not all grammatically incorrect, I saw some I's that are lowercase.
Mm.
But they put
I
some
mean,
work
sometimes
into
that
it.
could be like a stylistic thing because like me, I might have backgrounds in English, and so we have a lot of poetry and fiction writers, and a lot of it
Mhm.
can just be, you know, I just wanted it to stylistically be that way, or once you learn the rules of English, you can kind of break them at your will. But yeah, I think that's interesting.
Once you learn the rules, you want to break them. Okay.
Hmm.
Sounds like Phil is a rebel.
I'm a rebel that plays by the rules.
Um, Tracy's gonna launch on the Discovery, and they're gonna yeah. So they have lots of scenes like this where sometimes it ends in tragedy. So luckily this goes fine.
Hmm.
She makes it to space, but we don't.
She gets her own
Gordo,
camera.
yeah, right. She gets to be on TV, and the other ones are like, what are we even here for? Because she gets to be the one. She gets the spotlight. And Gordo says, "See you soon." And oh, hey, it's a Wheel of Fortune with Pat Sajak and Vanna White.
Hmm.
Anyway. Because of course Gordo is flipping the channel. He doesn't find the real Ghostbusters again though.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's right, Kimberly. Tracy is embracing the spotlight. Eugene Bird says, I want to muse too. Olivia Newton John Xanadu is no longer available. Oh.
Hmm.
Okay, so while Gary Piscotti is getting a sandwich from the vending machine. He learns that, well, he learns from Ed that he's going to be able to fly, but Ed doesn't give him the job until he puts a cap on because there's a running gag that Ed hates redheads. So because he hates gingers, he has to make him put on a hat. And he's like, "What? I'm not Navy. I'm Air Force."
Yeah, it's not just any hat. It's Navy, so he's trying to haze him a little bit even more.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a bit of hazing too. It's definitely. Oh, I think this is where my notes were up here, and my other notes are down here. So I need to bring in some notes that I have, which will take me a couple of moments because I want what I had. Yeah, I have to scroll all the way back up to where I was. But this is kind of important stuff, so I need to grab it. But yeah, the running joke that Ed's a bigot to redheads is still kind of funny. But this is where this is definitely where Danielle says, "Hey, why haven't I haven't had a command yet?"
Yeah. It is kind of interesting how this whole situation works out because, she walks in there and she demands, that she have a command position, and he kind of tries to justify why she hasn't. And then, an opportunity arises in a few seconds, but
yeah, isn't that convenient?
yeah.
Basically, that's what happens.
But yeah, I mean, he doesn't even think twice about it when that opportunity arises. He's just like, you know what?
Well, yeah, and that's surprising because he does push back in this scene. He does say, "Hey, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine the way it is," and and she's saying just going back to space isn't good enough. Yeah, she does. She's really demanding. Everybody tries to push Ed around in this show.
Yeah.
But she does play the race card just like Elena did earlier, but she does a little better than Elena because she says, "If you don't give me a command spot, I'll always be seen as that weak little black girl who fell apart on the moon. But if I were a white man, they'd have forgiven me a long time ago." I'm not sure I like the way this is worded. I didn't think Danielle had the mentality to just I don't know. I thought she said she's pointing out. I don't know. I don't know if I really like the way it's phrased because I'm not sure if it's true. Because and Ed pushes back too. He says, "Remember on Mercury 4 where Gus Grisham splashed and the hatch blew early? Press never let him forget about that, and that had nothing to do with the color of his skin." So given that Danielle says that they don't have as many black astronauts when they and this kind of reminds me of what Nichelle Nichols did when she worked for NASA to help recruit women into space after Star Trek. It was a big thing that she did. And
yeah, she's kind of Danielle's kind of a nod to that a little bit, I think, but
that's what
Nichelle
I'm
Nichols
hoping
was
this is
actually
turning
a
into.
part of it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Nichelle Nichols was actually like an astronaut, that's what she would have been like.
I think she would have. I think so.
Yeah.
But even being she was just a Nichelle Nichols was a pretend astronaut, but she had a real impact on real astronauts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I kind of it is a little weird though, but the numbers, I don't know if they add up for me when they say that there's 205. She says there aren't enough black astronauts. There are 205 astronauts. 11 of them are African American, and so if you look at the population in 1980, then if only 5% are astronauts, and 11% are the entire population. I guess there's a little bit of underrepresentation, but of course, I believe in meritocracy. If someone is capable of being in NASA, they are capable of succeeding. Obviously, if 11 of them and one of them have had a command, then more can join if they want to. But I think what's most important here is to tell everybody that they can do it. And so that's the kind of thing that Michelle did, was to encourage people, uh, uh, everyone to give it a try if they can. And that's the opportunity is there. It's just that some people don't think it's open to them.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the key, is trying to let people know that no, you can. Just it's open to everybody. Just you have to
Yeah,
put
exactly.
yourself out there and do it. But I think it's interesting here because I think he points out that she asks how many black astronauts have actually commanded a mission. And I think he does say like one.
Right. Just one so far. And
Yeah.
so she wants to be the second and the first woman to do it. So, but that's what I want. That's how I want her to go, is to start an education program for that kind of thing, to show people that you can be an astronaut no matter how you're born, if you can work hard enough for it. And the only reason that the storyline has merit is, of course, because it's still really close to the civil rights era, in terms of where the people who are just entering college now were kids during the civil rights stuff. So this kind of storyline makes sense in this context. And so, like you said, the very next scene gives him the opportunity to give her what she just asked for, which is really interesting, because the drama is that the Soviets do want to work with America, and of course, what they want to do is they want to see the new technology in the shuttlecraft, and America doesn't want to share their technology, obviously. So they come up with this brilliant idea to use an Apollo ship, an old Apollo ship that was headed to the Smithsonian, but instead they're going to use it to do this this big
the handshake in space
mission. Yeah, it's kind of a frivolous mission, but it's an important mission at the same time.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's interesting how it's like based on a real thing, and they justify it in this timeline pretty well. Because they don't want to share the technology on the shuttle, but it's an event that happened in real life in the 70s, but here we're seeing it 10 years delayed, practically.
It's a very high profile kind of mission. And so that's what Danny gets to command, gets to be a commander on it. And of course, there's a bit of an argument, because a lot of people don't know the truth of what actually happened on the moon, because that would basically ruin the careers of all three of them. So they're like, that whole thing with their arm, and Ed says that wasn't her fault, and that we can change public opinion on that. And also, the other astronauts in the room are supporting Ed, saying that they trained with Poole and she did an exceptional job during the Apollo 24 crisis. And it's about time for to give an African American woman a chance. Not just because she's that, but because she has that experience, and because she's proven that she is exceptional. As they said, she has the capability. And so in order to get this Apollo ship on the ground, they also have to use the Saturn 1B. And so they gotta go dig that up. They gotta dig up all this old technology.
Yeah, because they don't need to use a big old Saturn V, because they're not launching it to the moon. They're only doing low Earth orbit.
Yep. And And this is the last job that Ed will have to do before he's allowed to just have fun being an astronaut again.
Mhm.
And yep, that's it. That's the episode.
Mhm.
Oh, I guess maybe there's a little more, but.
Mhm.
She performs brilliantly under very stressful circumstances. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, it's
Olivia
interesting that
Newton-John says, "What are you going to do about it, stud?" Oh, I remember she was in Greece. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. What's that, Phil?
I was just saying that it's kind of interesting that there's a pushback because once Ed suggests Danielle, the pushback comes from Thomas Paine, but nobody else.
Yes, and he pretty much gets ganged up on in that regard. He has to
Mhm.
agree.
Yeah.
And well, he said, I think Ed says something about living up to the the plaque that they first sent, that they were going to send with Apollo 11. We came in peace for all mankind.
Yeah.
And so this is
So now the
a
opportunity to live up
symbolic
to that.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like an undercurrent of like maybe a
Mhm.
racist attitude that Thomas Paine may inadvertently have shared, but it seems like it's not that bad since he kind of relents pretty quickly too.
Yeah, that's right. But actually, he's more afraid. Not that, not. I don't know if he's necessarily racist, because when
Mhm.
he has this conversation, he says that he thinks that Ed has there's some kind of nepotism going on, some kind of favoritism, because Ed's
Mhm.
friends with all of these people, and all of these people all of his friends are getting to go to space.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what
there's
does
that
that
too.
mean?
Because I mean, he's assigned himself to the best, the top tier thing, and then his friends are being
Mhm.
assigned to another couple of kind of high profile missions, and then you know it's starting to seem like he's making his decisions are based on just that nepotism, and
Yeah, a
that's its own little problem.
personality. His decisions are based on emotionality, personality, his relationships. Is 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 Danielle a fantastic astronaut? Yes. But is she the best person for this mission? I don't know.
Mhm.
Like, is he actually going through and picking
Yeah,
the actual person that would be the best? She
yeah,
does have Apollo experience. That's the backup for it.
yeah. Yeah, I don't
But
think Thomas Paine
it's
is like a racist or anything, but I do think he kind of sees things through like an optics thing, and so yeah, he's seeing the nepotism and he's seeing how it would look on the
yeah,
outside.
it's a fair challenge. It's a fair
Yeah,
challenge to Ed's decisions, and we'll see what comes back
hmm
to him from it.
yeah.
Or at least I will. You already know.
Well, I'm doing my best not to reveal more, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
So
Well, speaking of which, though, yeah, I was a little worried for Ed's life, and then I was like, oh, I see him in the thumbnail for episode 10. He'll be okay. At the end of this episode, there's reason to be afraid.
yeah, I think there's only one problem with this season, and that hasn't
Mhm.
come up yet. So when it happens, we'll talk about it.
Great. He's waking up. Oh, he's getting his Wheaties on.
Mhm.
And no, he was about to drive the family car, but then he was like, wait a minute, I have another car
Yeah, he's gonna
that
try
he
to break
hasn't
out
ridden.
his Astro Vet.
Yeah, from when he was younger, and all the astronauts had these fancy cars.
Yeah, I think I love the fact that because I think it's in that scene where he tries to take off with it, but he hasn't like done anything with it in like years, and so it like kind of conks out.
Yeah. Is it an analogy for him? It's
Yeah,
like
maybe.
it's he's a little old, he's a little tired, and so is the car.
Yeah, and this is where we meet Sally Ride.
Yeah, this is their depiction of Sally Ride,
Mhm.
who's asking him, "Hey, you're at Air Force. Why are you wearing the Navy hat?" And he's like, "I
Mhm.
lost a bet," but
Yeah.
really he's just wearing it because Ed gave it to him and put it on and doesn't like redheads, so he's just
Yeah.
buying into his bigotry.
Yeah. It is interesting how Sally Ride here is now just another astronaut. She's not the first American woman in space. She's just, another highly qualified female astronaut.
Yeah, in this universe, she doesn't have that distinction. True.
Mhm.
Molly Cobb does.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he's choosing both of them to go on to the Pathfinder to be on that mission,
Mhm.
and they're gonna do some training. Yeah, I don't know too much about the Pathfinder. It's Do you know anything about? I guess we'll find out the next episode, right? Because I was hoping they were going to talk a little more about it. And I guess
Um,
they're just showing us
you mean
pictures right now.
in the series or in real life?
Both.
Well, I mean, in real life, I don't think that there is a counterpart for it. I do know they were trying to think of different ways to kind of modify the space shuttle, with a bunch of different applications, maybe even including nuclear power. But I don't think there was anything seriously considered on the drawing boards for that. But in the show, I do think they talk a little bit more about it as the episodes go on.
Okay, good news. Okay, I can't wait for that. So the security guard allows Danny to see her ship. She wants to look at her ship, and he's like, "You're going in that tin can," and she's so happy.
Mhm.
Mm. Oh, there it is. That's what I was hoping. I got a picture of the
Mhm.
Pathfinder. She's 3 times as powerful as our current shuttles. These nuclear engines will cut 100 days off of our trip. So that's basically all we know.
Mhm.
And Danny is really happy with her ship also.
And it's an interesting just juxtaposition between Ed with the new car, and then
Hmm.
so to speak, and then Danielle with the older car, if you will,
Right. Right.
so to speak.
She's got the older. She's got the oldest still functioning vehicle on the
Mhm.
lot, as you say.
Yeah.
And then we cut to Gordo watching wrestling. Also, Karen is a fan of wrestling, which surprises Danny.
Mhm.
Mm. She's been embracing her wild side.
Mhm.
Hmm. Oh, and this is where Gordon sees ants crawling all over his can, and he thinks he's hallucinating again.
Yeah.
And that is a crazy amount of ants to just appear out of nowhere all over
Mhm.
his soda. What
The
a
good thing is
terrible
it's real,
little.
and that's how he realizes that. Yeah, okay, he might be over it.
Yeah, no, and it is a good thing that they are actually real. He thinks he's hallucinating,
Hmm.
but it's just really strange that all the ants just congregated on this soda just to f with him. But obviously they didn't have that intention.
Hmm.
But he thought he was hallucinating until the bug spray came out,
Yeah.
which I don't know. Maybe maybe Karen needs to hire an exterminator.
Mhm.
Oh, Pepsi challenge. I didn't see that before. It's fun. And this is where we get to see some of Ed's encouragement, which kind of reminds me of how he was a dad to Shane sometimes. He was like, don't be a baby.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Gordo tells him about the ants, but they were real, so there shouldn't be a problem, but it still made him have a reaction that
Mm-hmm.
and Ed's like, hey, you know what? Man up and be an astronaut. You're an astronaut. Start acting like one. Let's go fly. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how he deals with his problems.
Mm-hmm. And it does work. Gets him out there.
Yeah, right? The old white Pepsi cans. There's a memory.
Mm.
I like the Michelob bottles. I never drink out of any bottles that look like that.
I think for as long as I can remember, Pepsi's been blue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's always been blue for me too. I don't remember. Like I probably was around some white cans, but I don't remember. Because I mean, this is the 80s, so yeah, obviously I was around.
Yeah.
But I was a baby in the 80s.
Mhm.
Start acting like, man, you're a GD astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's just not buying the Gordo. Yeah, he just wants to snap Gordo out of it. And this is why they
Yeah.
start flying around in fighter jets, which is great. It's good to see them flying.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Corpus Christi.
Mhm.
That's nice.
Mhm.
Because of course they are in Texas.
And then we
And this is
see
where
because
you can
she
say it.
played Hoshi Sato in Star Trek Enterprise, so there yet another connection to Star Trek.
Yes, exactly. This was the other connection to Star Trek I didn't mention at the start of the show because I wanted to save it for this moment. I'm so glad you pointed it out because
Very good.
yeah, she does play Hoshi Sato on Star Trek Enterprise, and her name is Linda Park.
Mhm.
So thank you, Linda Park, for being on the show.
Mhm.
And so she's I think she was on a previous episode, but I don't know if I just didn't notice or what happened, but this time I definitely did.
Mhm.
So she's a news broadcaster in season 2. And all right, so that's basically mostly what's going on here. And Danny's just taking out the trash when he catches Karen smoking some reefer.
Mhm.
If you have faith of the heart, then Linda appears, says Gavin. I think I do too. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I have faith. The future Empress of Earth. Oh, right.
Terran Empire. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute. Yeah, the In a Mirror Darkly.
Mm-hmm.
So Karen shares her joint with Danny. And
Yeah, I think this was the moment that I can't speak for everybody, but there was some kind of a weird connection between the two of them.
well, yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about it like that. Hopefully not. Oh God, do they go down that road? That does happen with some young boys though who are attracted to older women. Hopefully it doesn't go the other way.
Well, again, I can't say anything.
Yeah, I know you can't. God, I hope they don't do that. Damn it, Phil. Okay. Sorry.
Well, like I said,
So,
let whatever happens happens. Whether whatever you're thinking or whether it doesn't happen,
mhm.
just keep going.
Okay. I'm just gonna focus on Gordo and Ed flying for now. They're doing
Mhm.
tricks and they're doing they're playing war games and and Gordo pretend kills him, but then unfortunately they're about to play again, but unfortunately Ed's engine blows out or something. I forget what happens exactly, but his he catches fire. His he's got flames right under his left engine, and so he has to eject. He's pretty much forced to eject because he's gonna, otherwise, of course, he's gonna die. So he ejects and opens his parachute, and the cinematography on this scene is really incredible. Almost makes up for all the waiting I've been doing for stuff, and so that it was really great to see that scene. Really fun roller coaster ride. You kind of feel like you're it's very scary. You feel like you're the one who had to fly out of the cockpit and open your parachute.
I mean, those T-38s, they're pretty, I like to think of them as something of a death trap because so many astronauts and trainees have been killed on those things. It's insane.
Yeah, and I guess it is definitely a skill to know when to get out of Dodge and give up your plane, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
I can imagine some people are hesitant to do that because of how expensive those things are, and they don't want to be responsible for that money. But if you're gonna die, you gotta eject.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oops.
Yeah.
I meant to stop the screen there.
Yep. Oh, now 2 episodes in the can.
Yeah. I hope something happens in the next one. I'm just kidding. We just talked about it for 2 hours, so clearly something happened.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the episodes in particular, but I know, generally what the season builds up to and where it goes from there. And save for like one thing, I think you'll enjoy what you see.
And okay. Well, I can't wait to complain about it. I had a few complaints, obviously, today, but nothing too bad.
I mean, if it hasn't pulled you away from the show, then I think that's okay.
Yeah, no, because some of the things that I would have trouble with if it were done today, I don't have a trouble with in this show because of the historical context of the matter. And so I can rationalize so far. It just depends on where they take it.
Yeah, no, I think they go to some really interesting places, and I would hope you continue on because, like I said, there's something really big that happens, and I think it's like a make or break thing for a lot of people. And yeah, I would say keep on pushing forward after it.
Make or break. Oh my goodness, those are big words. Okay, well, I will let you know even if I don't like it, I want to continue with this series. I want to review all of it.
Yeah, because I mean,
and
even though a little hiccup, it will happen. Yeah, I would persevere.
All right. So the songs in this episode were okay. So when Ed's looking at the space shuttle, I guess the model, and deciding to be on Pathfinder, I guess that's where it has Loverboy playing. They have the song "Working for the Weekend." Then they also have whenever Ed visits Molly in the bubble bath, smoking a joint. They play the song "I'm a Rambling Man" by Waylon Jennings. And when Ed puts on his flight suit and he's eating his Wheaties, they play "I've Got You Under My Skin" by Frank Sinatra. So those are the big songs for that episode.
There's a lot of good stuff this season. I mean, I think For All Mankind's pretty good with its music choices.
Yeah, no, it was really fun to talk about it too, and even it has been fun. Okay, so Kimberly's been having fun, so I know I'm doing something right then. Gavin says we have to go on. Kane at LB 426. Oh, okay. Let me see if I have that. Oh, I never know where it is, this one. I want to find a certain clip since you're going to mention Alien. Where is it? Oh.
Game over, man. It's game over.
That's the end of the movie.
That's the I actually need to review Aliens, so one day I'll have more clips from that movie.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be releasing Alien Romulus this weekend, so got to prepare.
I do. Oh, this weekend. Oh my god. Okay. Why didn't I think of that? Thank you. You might have helped me with what I decide to do on Friday. I'm not sure yet. I need to consult. But yeah, that's this weekend or next weekend.
Yeah, I think it's the 16th because I'm going to be watching it with a friend of mine, so a couple friends of mine.
Oh my god. Okay. So then why don't I talk about aliens on Friday? Maybe I'll think about it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
No.
Oh, hey, just as we're closing out the show, we're just hanging out now for a minute. Canadian Spider-Man says, hello and good morning to you, anti-derivative Jill. Oh, it's your morning now. It's a little late for the morning. Just getting chores done outside and listening. All right. Well, very good. Canadian Spider-Man's always hard at work. And Kimberly, I'm so glad you had fun. This was fun, Jill. That's basically what I want to do is talk about the show and hopefully hopefully be entertaining about it. So I'm glad I could be fun. And hopefully Phil was fun too with all of the things that he shared also.
Well, I do my best.
Yeah, and so I guess we'll do it again next weekend. I mean next week, next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday. That's going to be interesting, actually.
Oh yeah.
Next Tuesday is going to be the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
I need to check and see something.
Oh, is there something happening on Tuesday?
Yeah, because this weekend I'm moving to San Diego to attend my master's program, and I'll be teaching.
Whoa, you're moving. Oh, okay, that's a big deal. Congratulations, you got a new job.
Yeah, I'm going to be a teaching associate for the school, so I'm teaching 3 first-year seminar classes on Fridays. So 9 a.m. to 12, that's where I'm going to be.
Oh, okay. But that's California time.
Yeah, so I guess that would be what? 11 to 2 your time?
Yeah. Okay, so that's 2 my time. Okay, so
Well, like I said, that's just Fridays, so
that's only Fridays. Okay. Oh, right, okay.
But yeah.
Okay, good deal.
Next week I might not be around strictly because that's going to be day 2 of their little teaching associate training thing I got to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's okay. I'll continue, and
I mean, I'll tune in, obviously. So
yeah, if you can, you can always watch it later. That's so you keep up with my commentary to see my reaction to the next 2 episodes.
I'm looking forward to what you think, and then
I
will be present the next week.
I would skip a week for you, but I kind of want to get this done because I want to bring I want to start on Twilight Zone by December, and so I want to keep rolling on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, don't even worry about my side. I will be joining you for the week afterwards, and hopefully every week after that. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think I'm going to have any other than next week. I don't think there's going to be any problems.
Cool, good deal. That's because wait a minute. What? Hello to my friend, says Spidey. I barely caught you live, it seems. Okay, so we're doing some bear puns here. Snortopoopa says, that's because I'm barely alive. Cute.
Of course.
Yeah, glad to see you again. I know the feeling, Joe. Yeah. I'm glad to see you too. And it's always more fun to have you in the chat, Snorty. It is. No, Spidey's right. Snorty is amazing to have around. What a good bear.
Mhm.
Oh, where am I? Okay, so the next 2 episodes of For All Mankind are going to be. I forgot to grab them, so I have to look them up.
I think that's The Wait and Best Laid Plans.
Let's see. Yes, that's right. The Wait and Best Laid Plans. Awesome. Oh my God, Joe Manowski writes the Wait. Okay, so it's finally going to be a good episode.
Oh,
I'm sorry. No, I did like these episodes. It's good character things and everything, but I want something to happen.
well, I was actually going to ask you because I remember you put out on Twitter, like, if other people were going to like join in on the podcast, and I was wondering if you got any hits.
No, I didn't. I would appreciate it if I did, but I think some people interested, they just can't. They're just too busy, which makes sense because this podcast is in the middle of the day during lunchtime, which means ish, depending on where you live in the world. But I understand people are busy. I understand people are busy. It's fine.
Yeah. Well,
But it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna keep on keeping on, and that I'm looking forward to the next couple episodes. I hope they're good. And I definitely have fun watching these. I did enjoy these. I razzed on a little bit, but I did have a good time.
Well, I'm glad you did. I think the show is really, really something, and depending on when they release the 5th season, it would be interesting to have kind of like a live sort of thing for it.
Yes. Well, yeah, I'd be reviewing it as the series is released. I don't know if I'll do it exactly when it goes live because I put my evenings for my family and stuff, but the next day or the Tuesday after it's released is when I'll be reviewing For All Mankind when the new stuff comes out.
Yeah, I think that'd be perfect.
Awesome. Snorpoopus says, I just wish I could watch the show without paying for a streaming service. Spidey says,
there's some ways.
Oh, yeah, there are ways. And none that I can promote. Let's start a rumor that Gina Carano is coming on Jill's channel and see if it comes true. Then we can do the same for Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan would be more believable than Gina Carano because I'm not I like Star Wars, but I'm not big enough of a Star Wars fan for it to make any sense. But for me to ask Michael Jordan to come on, a fellow Texan, I think that's more possible. But that's funny. That's funny, Spidey. Thank you. It'd be cool if I did more interviews. I just don't. I should though. I realize it. You're right. But for now, I wanted to ask. Oh wait. Oh, I just ended the poll. That was what I was doing. Which episode did you enjoy more? People chose Rules of Engagement over Pathfinder. Which episode did you like better?
I don't know. I think I like Pathfinder a bit more.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I definitely agree. Pathfinder was way cooler. It had it had the jet fighters. It had kind of a little more substantial with the elements that it added. It was more consequential actions.
I think I'd go with that too.
Sure. And so, why don't you tell us what you're working on around on the internet and stuff like that?
Yeah. Right now, I run the Fleet Admiral Levi show, the channel. these days I try to do my show on Fridays. I'm thinking about changing it because of my teaching obligations coming up in a couple weeks, so that might have to be pushed back a day or two. But yeah, we talk science fiction, fantasy, horror. So if any of those things are your bag, my place is, more than welcome to have you. If it's movies, television, books, whatever, as long as it's those three genres, we'll talk about it. I had to miss my show last week because I was on the Anti-Derivative Jill show discussing Star Trek Insurrection. So that ran over the time, but it's fine. This means I got to do 2 episodes this week, possibly. But yeah, please
2
join
episodes.
us.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing up for that too. I hope you had fun. I know it was a little more wild than this one. But I hope you had a good time there.
It was fun. I do like doing stuff, discussing Star Trek anytime. So if you
Very
do another
good.
one, just have to ask.
Yeah, definitely. That's all you got to do is ask. And you can be there.
Mm-hmm.
And until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday. And stay safe.
Bye, guys.
I'll read Canadian Spider-Man's last comment here. I have a Star Trek series, Starfleet's encounters with dangerous extraterrestrial planet and animal life. I don't know why, Spidey, but that sounds like a AI generated name for a Star Trek show.
Possibly.
But thank you, Spidey. It was great to see you here at the end. Bye, guys. Thanks for being awesome.
Learn all that is learnable.
And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
It has always been easier to destroy than to create.
May we together become greater than the sum of both of us.
Well, now you have something new to think about. Carry on.
All right, move along. Done. Stop it. Get off of the things. Go outside. Get some food. It's like, it's a time of day where you live. Go do something. Shut up, Snoopy. I don't care. You smoke too much. Let's go. Let's go adventure. Let's go explore.
No matter where you go, there you are.